Hi, ECFE friends. Welcome to the last week of Learning from a Distance. Thank you so much for sticking with us in these past 2 months as we've kind of navigated the technology and the new road that we've had before us. This certainly isn't how we anticipated for our years to end. But as we come to look towards the rest of this summer, the couple of months that we'll be apart, we have our fingers crossed and we're hoping that things will be back to a more of a regular normal come fall. But until then, I wanted to end up by just giving you a couple of tips to please protect your own mental, emotional well-being, obviously your physical one too, over the summer for yourself and for your children and your family. So I'm going to give you a few tips. Hopefully that will help you decrease the amount of stress, anxiety, and worry in your family to a more manageable level. Mindfulness is something we've talked about a bit in some of our in-person classes. When is the last time that you paid attention to your breath or just sat in a room doing nothing? Or maybe you just went for a walk and you simply kind of took some time to notice your surroundings. Mindfulness can happen for you and for your children in a host of different ways. From learning to just focus on the moment, to finding some calm during these stressful times, to improve your executive function. It doesn't have to be complicated, but we do know that it helps. Paying attention to your breath, for instance, is one of the #1 ways to decrease your stress level. We've learned from research studies. I'm going to share a little bit of a presentation to give you some extra pointers on that. So give me a second to get our screen shared. And then we'll talk about these. Because having a family and all that you're doing, you are doing so much, just like all of us. And no one was really prepared for this. But please take the time to take care of yourself in the midst of all of our circumstances. As I said, take a deep breath. Really focus on breathing in and out just a few times. It's amazing what can happen when you just focus on breathing for a few minutes. Mindfulness isn't anything that's woo, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You can do it in a few very easy ways, and you can teach your children to do it in a few easy ways too. First, you take some time to just squeeze, focus on squeezing your muscles, and then focus on really relaxing, focusing on what it feels like in whatever part of your body you're choosing to squeeze and relax. Practice that all through your body to be able to relax some of that tension. Belly breathing, there are some great resources for parents and for kids teaching you how to breathe. You can find them online, just some wonderful children's book. I think it's Bear Learns to Breathe, but just teaching you yourself and your kids how to just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, counting in a very measured way, being very mindful of what you're taking in and what you're releasing. You can take a chance to just have a little mindful meal. Really focus on the tastes and the textures of the food that you're eating and teach your kids to do the same. And just that little moment that you're taking to really focus on what you're doing as a family, we know that that will help to relieve a little bit of that stress. Help you to be a little more grateful, as we can all used to do for these small things that we've been taking for granted before. Of course, if you would like, you can certainly meditate, however that looks for you. Just picture a calm or relaxing scene. Just try focusing on that, trying to intentionally relax your body with those breathing techniques. Blowing bubbles is a great relaxation exercise and some fun in there too. And you can teach this to your children. We all know you must do what to blow bubbles? Breathe in and breathe out. So I love blowing bubbles with kids, especially when they need a little bit of help managing their emotions, but blowing bubbles brings you joy to your heart too. Remember, there's that little tiny kid still inside all of us. How about coloring? For some of you, that's very relaxing to just sit and color. Focus on the colors. Focus on just the nice calmness of coloring back and forth on a page. It can help relax you. It can help relax your children if they're starting to feel a little wound up. Of course, we know that music has a big impact on our emotions and the things that we think about. So maybe you need to listen to positive music and be able to dance off some of your stress or emotion, or maybe you're very wound up, sensory overload, and you need to listen to something very calming and relaxing. It looks different for all of us, but I wanted to just point out some of these simple ways. Sometimes we think about mindfulness exercises, and of course you can Google it and come up with dozens or hundreds even of different ways you can practice mindfulness as a family, for yourself and for your children individually, but it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be something very simple like these suggestions I've given you here on this page. But it is important that you're intentional about trying to do things that help relieve your stress. You need to make time for mindfulness. When I was a mom at home like you and had a whole slew of small children relying on me 24/7, it was important for me. I'm a morning person, so I would get up early in the morning. I needed to just have some coffee, even if that was just 5 or 10 minutes before anybody needed me, and relax. Just relax during that time, focus on my coffee. There are many times that I'm so grateful for the heat, that I have heat in my house. So grateful for the peacefulness in the morning. Grateful for the birds that are singing now that it's spring. Whatever that it might be, even if it's only 5 minutes that you can kind of carve out for yourself before the demands of the day get to you, try it. Try it and see if it doesn't set your mind in a more positive attitude for the entire day. Try to limit multitasking. Remember, we've spoken many times in our in-person class that the human brain does not multitask. Instead, the human brain just quickly focuses from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. Our brains are great, wired that way. We'll just flick from one thing, one thing, one thing, one thing, one thing. But you know, all that flicking stresses your brain out a little tiny bit. So during this time where your brain may already have some things going on in those back corners kind of turning, try to limit how much you multitask. Focus on the thing that you're working on right then and there. Take care of that and then turn to the next thing. We know that's a much more relaxed and easy way of life. Finally, we may have to make peace with some uncertainty. No one knows. I can give you lots of guidelines and lots of suggestions on how to help your kids with meltdowns, how to help navigate quarantine, how to help navigate coming out of quarantine. What can we do if we have financial stresses? What can we do if we are struggling with anxiety or depression because of isolation and loneliness? We can give you a lot of guidelines of things that may or may not work, but our situation is still evolving. Today is the first day that we've had the stay-at-home orders lifted here in Minnesota, but now we are Stay Safe Minnesota. What is that going to look like? What is going to be the result of that? I don't know. You don't know. The people in charge don't really know. There's a lot of uncertainty. So maybe it will help you to just focus on today. Through today, what can you find positive in today? What can you put down on your list that you can do today? What are you in charge of? And focus on that. And tomorrow, get up and focus on what is important for that day. It's probably a more simple way to live. It's probably a way that we all should be living all along the way instead of rushing and being as busy as we can. But it certainly will help lower your stress level if you can just stay in the moment and stay focused on what you need. Finally, here's a couple of other websites, and I'm going to put them in the link underneath our video as well. And these are two great resources that we have that are both approved by the Minnesota Department of Health, Department of Human Services, recommended by that. They're on these websites. You can find lots of resources for things to help you practice your mindfulness, things to help you as we're apart here over the summer, navigate maybe some stressful things or some emotional things that you're dealing with as a family. So I will, again, we'll post those underneath our video. And please know that if there's anything else that we can do for you over the summer, please feel free to call us. My number is still on our Class Dojo page, along with our emails. Our emails for the rest of the teachers too, Kim Linsky, Tina Lynn, and Jen Kohler should be on those web pages. So email us if you are looking for a resource, stuck with something. We'll do what we can to help you. Have a wonderful summer. Take care of yourself. Stay safe with your family. And I hope to see you again come fall.